Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Dorothy, good morning, by the way.
Good morning, Bill.
A couple of weeks ago, we had a show with a guest author on.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the show, we made sort of like a public service announcement about a weekend event that was upcoming at the Encore Center. It's amazing. 5 years ago, the Encore Center, if I'm not mistaken, 5 years ago, it didn't even exist.
I think you're right. It's been a short period of time that they've been around.
Yeah, within 4 years, the Encore Center is not only a thing, it's become, but they've been one of the most frequent guests on our show.
Yeah.
They have so much stuff going on that every couple of months, I'm in touch with Becky, who is the chief. To me, she's the chief production manager, the stage manager. She is the benchmark. She's the foundation, the bedrock, the glue that keeps all these productions together. And they have so many productions. They're active at every age group. Today, we're going to be speaking with the Encore Center. They have an upcoming production. I say this almost like every other show. Opening night is going to be Friday, February the 10th, and it's going to be a risque comedy called The Fox on the Fairway, and it's going to be going for 2 weekends, as usual, which again is exhausting. So I guess it starts at the beginning of Valentine's Day weekend and carries through the following weekend in February. And I guess it's your first, Becky, I'll say good morning. It's your first full throttle production of the year. I don't know how this is so labor intensive, but tell me a little bit about because it's a dinner theater theme show.
Yes. So back when we were having to really decrease our amount of people in the building because of COVID, we decided to pivot and partner with Ashton's next door. They were struggling as well to have people in the restaurant. And so we came up with this idea of having a dinner theater. So this is our third dinner theater that we have. We've just made it a kind of annual thing around Valentine's Day to have our show as a dinner theater. So what we do is for the evening time shows, so they start at 6:30 with seating at 6 o'clock in our theater. And with that ticket purchase, you get a appetizer and a meal and beverage. And then the 2 o'clock shows, they have a charcuterie board and a beverage with those tickets. So we've just made it kind of a fun, different kind of theater experience, partnering with Ashton's next door to us.
One of the things I've noticed the Encore Center does very well is they partner with others. There's some nonprofit organizations you've partnered with, and part of the strength in your growth has been the relationships that you formed in the community.
Yes, being part of the community and not just being downtown, but actually physically going out into the community and doing things has been one of our huge goals when we started, was to really become part of the community. Not just that people would come to us, but that we would come to them as well. And we've had several organizations reach out to us wanting us to, come present things to them. We have 4 events like that coming up in the next couple months. And then each show we have partnered this season with another nonprofit. And this show we're partnering with the Pines Preservation Guild, which is really fun because we are in a very historic building. The building we are in, the old Powell Funeral Home, was built in around 1895, early 1900s. The chapel area that we have converted into the theater was added on in the 60s and 1960s. But I remember when we first moved into the building, I spoke to the niece of one of the the people that had owned it in the past, and she had lots of things to tell me about when they built that on in the 60s and those kind of things. And she was so excited about us bringing the theater into that building.
Yeah. You know, to give you an idea of the measure of how much the arms of the Encore Center have stretched, I got here a little late for the taping this morning, and I was with a real estate client. And I was explaining to her, I have to leave. I'm going to go, we're going to be doing a show with the Encore Center. And she said to me, oh, and this is Asia, and I say this for Nicola because she knows who I'm talking about. She said, oh, I just heard, is it true that the Encore Center used to be a funeral home? I said, yeah, it was. And I said, it's really a building with a lot of character. And I remember the very first time I walked in, and I had heard that from the get-go. You had church pews.
Mm-hmm, we did.
And she laughed. And I said, yeah, but they have since gutted it. They've put a lot into it, and it's become quite a theater environment, as well as a school in a way, where you have a lot of different classes, music, acting, kinder music. And we're going to talk about all of that today. But let's first talk about the production, The Fox on the Fairway. Some of the guests who are joining us today, Steve Cain, who has been on the show in the past. Steve, this has become more than just a hobby. You're like one of the go-to guys in Moore County right now, I think, when it comes to casting. You've appeared in A Christmas Carol, Smoke on the Mountain. We did a show on that. The Spitfire Grill, and the Sanders Family Christmas. Any other hobbies?
Had no time for any other hobbies. Yeah, I started community theater pretty late, and when I moved here, the director that I left, he challenged me to find a theater, and I spent a year looking and couldn't find one, and
Right.
that was when the Encore Center started. So it's been a gift that keeps giving and provides an opportunity for me to be on theater.
Yeah,
Maybe too much opportunity this year, but good opportunity.
Well, you're also being joined by Charlynn Walker, who you play Muriel Bingham.
Yes.
And you were on. We did a past show with you.
For Hound of the Baskervilles.
Yes, and that was with the very precocious young boy, if I'm not mistaken. No, I'm confused. There's been so many shows. It's okay. I have a hard time keeping up. You originally were teaching in New York.
Yes.
Before you came here, and this is not your first production. It's your second or your third?
It is my third production here with Encore.
Okay. Recant the story how you got here to Moore County from Harlem, I think is where you were teaching.
Well, I've taught in Harlem and I've taught in Queens and also in Manhattan. But I have a family. I have two girls. And my husband and I decided we had been in New York for 20 plus years in the city and needed a change, wanted our kids to have some grass under their feet.
Yeah.
And my family's here. So we relocated, and luckily we relocated just before the pandemic, which was, that was a blessing. And we came down here and we, put our feet down and looked around. And I actually had been teaching for a while and not acting. And I thought, I think I want to do this. So I actually looked at 2 different audition announcements from Encore, and I even applied for one, put my name in for one and then withdrew it because I wasn't ready yet. And then the third time I said, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this time. And it was one of the best decisions I made. And actually, I think I met with Sarah first to just come in and start teaching.
Yeah.
And then she said, oh, you act? Well, we had this. So I've been able to do both.
How old are your girls?
I have a 10-year-old and I have a 15-year-old. And my 10-year-old just did her first production with Encore.
I was just going to. So there's something about the Encore Center that reaches out and forms a sense of community.
Oh, yes.
Different generations. Steve, your daughter, I think, introduced you to the Encore Center. Is that correct?
To theater. That was before
Theater.
we moved here. Yep.
Okay. So your daughters are following in your footsteps in
They
some shape or
are
form.
they are enjoying the life they have here in Moore County,
Yeah.
and Encore is a big part of that for both of them.
Yep.
And you're right, the Encore is out in the community, but when you're within it, it's almost a family.
Yeah.
I do call it my second home.
Yeah.
So it's open and encouraging, and we love it.
You also teach at the Encore Center.
I do.
And you teach music and singing and piano,
I teach music at St. John Paul Catholic School.
right?
And I do private lessons in voice and piano, and I teach musical theater and acting for kids ranging from 6 to 19
Yeah.
at the Encore Center.
Yeah. I want to just go around the table while we're starting. We had Cana Strong on with the Stars Charter School probably about a year or so ago. You're the director of the play. You are newer to Moore County, but
Yes.
you have already made indelible impressions on the lives of a lot of the students. You've got a pretty good... I was talking with a young lady who has a daughter in your program at Stars. So you're a great coach and mentor, and you've influenced a lot of the kids who I have a feeling she might be your number one recruiting tool,
There
right?
is kind of a Venn diagram of Stars and Encore that happens. Yeah.
Is that right?
It has grown a lot in the past year, I feel like, for sure.
So you're in this particular production directing, but you've also acted. You were affiliated before you moved here with Disney.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I was a character performer at Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida.
And you're from the Midwest? If
I am from Florida.
Okay.
Yes.
It's very gratifying to have a cultural center like the Encore in Southern Pines. How long have you been here?
I've been here about as long as Encore has existed. We moved here 2019.
So, like me, you've witnessed the growth. It's crazy that in 4 years, what they've become.
Yeah, the first show I did with them was Almost Maine, and I remember we only came in for the scenes we had to be in, and we pretty much left, and it was to a point where people in the first act didn't even stay for bows, so they left by the end of the show, and that is, it's totally different now. It was very, not like it's not still casual, like I think people still have a lot of fun doing it, but
Right.
that has changed a lot, where before we were not really coming together, and especially since the pandemic, I feel like everybody's so excited to do things together that they've really reached out to each other. And like we did Steel Magnolias, and I had a Steel Magnolias baby shower. Like they all came and we go to dinner. I wish we would go to dinner more, but we tend to be busy ourselves and don't have time. But yeah, it's...
Tell me what you like about directing versus acting.
You have to have a whole picture in your brain.
Right.
When you are an actor, you don't get to be informed on everybody else's inner thoughts. But when you're directing, regardless of the age, I think you get to learn something and everybody else gets to learn. And you have such an opportunity to take things from other people. Like we were just talking, like from a philosophical standpoint, like do you watch versions of the show
Right.
that you've done? And I do not. I refuse to do that because I like to take what other people from our specific production bring in
Yeah.
and make those things come together in a way,
Yeah.
rather than see something I like somewhere else and take it from someone else. I like to work with the people I've got because it's different every single time.
Yeah. So you are like hyper focused. You are like very credible. When you speak, I can just imagine people will listen.
I hope.
No. No, when you speak, I'm raptured. Just your diction, your focus. My guess is also her discipline. You're focused on the big picture, but you have to have listening for not just the cast members, the stage people, everything. Because you're like the chef putting all the ingredients together, making sure the cake comes out right. If God forbid one of the elements doesn't work, it's not going to be successful.
We trust you.
Thanks.
We have a great deal of trust in Cain. We know that she's going to guide us and lead us in the right direction and
Yeah.
and challenge us as well.
So a director is like a coach, right? I mean, you're taking direction from her, and you're having faith in what she says, and then you are then free to perform or act out what she's asking you to do or what to capture.
We don't have to see the big picture. Cana's got it. We can just focus on
Right.
what our role is and what our relationships are. I think so. There's a difference there. We don't have to.
I will say it's probably odd for Steve to comment on that because, to his credit, we've only had 2 days
Because
of
he
rehearsal.
doesn't listen to you at all. Does
Oh,
he?
no.
He just does his own thing.
Because how we met, I played his kid in a show at the Encore Center. So this is his first time being directed by me. Charlynn's actually, I've not directed her before, but we worked on Little Shop of Horrors this summer, and she was our music director, and I was the director of the show. So we've worked in that capacity where he has only seen that for 2 days.
Yeah.
So I think it's a different thing acting with somebody and then directing them, and vice versa.
Yeah. We're upon the National Football League, the playoffs, and the Super Bowl. And if you listen to Sirius Radio and you go onto the NFL Network, all you hear are these talking heads talking about the players, the coaches, and all this talk about the coaches and all the elements that they put together, and how the players just sort of stay hyper-focused in their lane. But they all have complete faith and trust in their coach. And I guess it's an analogy that's worth making. But the way you speak, I mean, I would be afraid to cross you if I were in a good way, right? I mean,
It
you
comes
just,
up often.
Yes, Bill, in a good way.
yeah,
Yes.
you just take it and execute. Okay.
That being said, and as Cana said, it's only been 2 days, but what I've felt free to do is, as we're walking through the blocking, is I say to her, is like, I feel like I need to move over here. I feel like I want to do this.
Right.
And then she'll either go with it or go, well, here's the conflict. How about if you try this? So there's been, it's not just been directing. Maybe to her point, she's watching what we bring and then helping us find the right mix. So it's been, although only 2 days, so I'll reserve
It's
my...
a very different group of people that all have very different perspectives and processes. So trying to make the group we have blend together is probably the most challenging part.
I want to work for you. You are, I mean, you're very impressive. We're going to come back in the second set. We're going to go back and we're going to talk about the Fox on the Fairway, which is going to premiere at the Encore Center on Friday, February the 10th. There will be a dinner theater added on to this particular event, and it's going to run for 2 weekends. And this is All Things More Kenny. We'll come back and talk about the show. Welcome back to our second set of All Things More County. The Encore Center is presenting the Fox on the Fairway, February 10th through the 19th. It's going to start off with a dinner. I guess it's dinner and a show. Is that for both weekends or just the first weekend?
both weekends.
For both weekends. And you'll have matinees on Saturday and Sundays at 2 o'clock. So a total of 8 shows?
Yes.
It's a lot. That's great. The Encore Center is located at 160 East New Hampshire Avenue in Southern Pines. You can go online to encorecenter.net for information, and their box office is 910-725-0603. I was not familiar with The Fox on the Fairway. It was a play. It was never a movie. Is that? How did you all select this? And tell me a little bit about the what people are going to say.
Well, our theater board is who reads the scripts and decides what shows we're going to be doing for the year. And so they put together a list and they go through and figure out exactly what they want to do.
Right.
And then once we get that list, then we work on getting the actors and filling the spots and executing the project. So I'll let Cana talk about the show a little bit.
I think that Ken Ludwig he is a really adept writer, because he puts a whole prologue, which we will put in our program for the audience because he requests it, and I think it's really good context. He has kind of written this show as a textbook execution of a farce, in the British style of a farce.
Right.
And when you watch it, you feel all of the feelings that one can feel in the theater. You get very uncomfortable, almost, we talked about it the other night, like a Seinfeld kind of discomfort, where you know that the people you are rooting for maybe don't have the best intentions and do
Right.
not have these clear, pure motives, but you still want them to get the things they want despite all of that. And the interplay between the characters is just, it is, if he did not tell you it was written to be kind of not a parody, but a complimentary of the British farce, you would know that by watching it, because when you see it, these themes that you've seen played out in other things kind of come up, and the disappointed or unhappy husband, and then the ambitions of two men coming to each other, and then the different spectrum of women. I guess we have someone who's not super intelligent, but gosh, is she pretty. And then we have the begrudged wife and the overtly sexual Arlene.
Oh, is that Arlene McHughes?
Yeah.
Okay. She was on, and she was almost. People love to come back and repeat and do another show, right? It's
This is her second production ever, right?
Yes.
she was in Steel
She was
Magnolia.
in Steel Magnolias.
That's right.
This is her second production with us, and she does a great job.
That's right.
Yeah.
When she was on, we enjoyed talking to her about the original Steel Magnolias at the Lucille Lortel Theater in New York City.
Which you're a big fan of, I remember.
You do remember?
They came and told us about it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it was before the movie was ever made. They never cast men in the play, only in the movie. It was better without the men in the play because there was more left to the imagination. But this golf is used as a, it's not a, yes, golf's part of the play, but it's not the only part. And it's not Caddyshack. It's all about the social mores and.
Yes, it's more the theme around which everything else happens. So I would definitely say it's more about relationships between men and women. And I guess the men as well, just kind of these two men have the golf in their lives that brings the whole conflict kind of crumbling down around them, because without that initial conflict, they have this annual tournament that they're trying to run. And as you can imagine, every year there's something that comes up. You just picture this relationship that's gone on for years and years between the two of them. And this year, you know, I'll get him and I'll get him. And they have these plots against each other. But
Big
because,
egos.
yes, because of the events that fall out at this tournament this year, it reaches out and tendrils into other people's lives, particularly Henry Bingham's spouse, and then the lives of Justin and Louise, who are our ingenue sort of characters.
Charlynn, tell me about your character, Muriel Bingham.
Muriel. Muriel is married to Henry, and she's not the smoothest character. She's a little rough around the edges. She enjoys the outdoors quite a bit, and she owns an antique shop, and that's kind of where her heart and soul is this shop. And she's not involved in golf that much, so she coming into this country club is that's not her home. That's not where she lives. So you can definitely tell she's out of place when she's there.
Yeah. So what do you have to do with your character to bring her to life?
Well, I'm still working on her. She's a work in progress, but she definitely is a little bit more grounded than I am. She's definitely gruffer than I am. She's not as happy. Well, she's not a happy woman. She's I mean, not that I'm saying I'm the classiest person in the world, but she definitely has none. I get that feeling from her. So yeah, it's really just making her a lot rougher.
Yeah.
Harder.
As you're listening, because you're starting the rehearsals now, the show's funny.
Yes.
The humor it's there for all to see.
Yes.
And as you understand that there's humor, then does that help you go deeper into your role to help catapult the humor out, whether you're the focus of the humor or not?
Well, I think that we're all accessories to the humor.
Yeah.
We definitely have to work together to show that. I mean, it's not subtle.
Yeah.
So it's right there, what we're supposed to be showing and showcasing. So I don't know that it helps deepen the character because the humor is not deep. Would you?
We talk about her character a lot because she is kind of there for plot. There is not a lot of background for her.
Okay.
But she is kind of the person who would have a beer when everyone else is having white wine, for sure.
Okay.
But she's also the butt of a lot of jokes, like the name of her antique shop is the Old Croc, and there's almost no reference of it besides making the joke that she is the Old Croc.
Okay.
Which is not super fair to Charlynn, but Muriel seems to have developed tough skin over the years, for sure.
All right. Stephen, tell me about your role and your feeling about the play and its enjoyment.
My character describes Charlynn's character as a Sherman tank. So I think the word strong for her character comes out. My character is probably the most shadiest, lack of morals and ethics character on the stage.
Uh-huh.
And I'm hoping I wasn't typecasted for it.
No.
Becky said you were. And they had plans for later this fall for a couple of other. Not really.
His role is to set the stage for disaster for this Henry Bingham, Charlynn's husband, his character, to set the stage for his disaster.
Okay.
And that kind of sets the direction of the play as everything's trying to keep him from falling for my dirty tricks. The humor, to me, although a lot of it is right there, but it puts a little bit more pressure on figuring out the character, but still preserving the timing and humor without being without being over the top. You still have some depth to the character. So to me, I'm looking forward to try to wrestle that challenge.
So, not a stupid question, but I think it's an important question. Do you enjoy the script? Do you enjoy the show? Isn't that part of helping you develop the character?
Yeah, I think you embrace it, and
right.
I don't know that I would have read it off the shelf and go, "Oh, this is a good thing." But now that I'm in it, I'm embracing it, and I do think it's rather funny, and there are some good plot twists. It's ironic that Charlynn and I are sitting next to each other.
You made a reference to a British farce. Is the humor subtle or is it very straightforward?
Well, there is a joke about a touchdown dress that,
Okay.
that's almost the joke by itself right there. So there are jokes like that are very superficial that if we had canned laugh, you would put a canned laugh there, or it's golf. So there are a lot of balls involved in the equation.
Right.
So they take some low blows like that. But then there are a lot of references in the earlier parts of the show that if you are really following the show nicely, like we would hope you would be, and you come through to the end, there are references within the show that make things funnier to you, as you know what I mean, where you're the strings that come together throughout the show are also very funny, or the realizations you have as an audience member or as a reader as you're going through the show, where you start to pick up the pieces and you go, oh my gosh,
right,
I know what's going to happen. This is going to be terrible for them, but you want to see what's going to happen.
Right.
And then there's some even more superficial things like what Steve's going to be wearing. So
the outfits, from what I can see, are very colorful. What time frame does the play take place?
I think not modern so much that you'll have cell phones, but
70s, 80s, 60s?
We're not really.
We're not sure.
No, just bad golf is more of the genre.
Bad golf used to be associated with lime green pants, orange shirts, where they used to say the golfers would dress like pimps. This is way back in the day. Not anymore, but if you would remember, if you look at some of the 1960 and 70 clips of the PGA Tour, oh my gosh, these people didn't have mirrors. They just got dressed and went out and played in these neon outfits.
It's kind of what I'm hoping Steve's going to look like.
Plaids and all that good
sounds
stuff.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yahoo.
Let's come back in the third set. talk a little bit more about the production and want to talk a little bit about some of the upcoming events for 2023 that the Encore Center is undertaking. This is a full-time job now, Becky, isn't it? I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
Yes.
Noted. Yep.
Overtime for Becky.
this is All Things More County. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our final set of All Things More County. Becky Podlogar is the stage manager, and in many ways, she is the glue. You know, in a fraction, you have a numerator and a denominator. She's definitely the denominator. You are, and this is your 4th year. I can't even count how many productions that you've done. Do you know which number this is?
I do not know.
You've
how
just
many
lost
at
in
this
a
point.
sea
I've
of-
lost count. We just go from one to the next. They kind of just. We just finished a production camp on Sunday and started this on Monday, so you just kind of go from one to the next.
So in 4 years, you've met people. Friendships have been formed.
Absolutely.
Loyalties have started. Repeat. People coming back wanting to do more. Everybody wants to be part of the Encore Center, and everyone sings your praises. The Encore Center is not just a theater company. It's so much more, isn't it?
Yes, yes. It has been just amazing how, we've gotten so many new people into and grown so much over these 4 years into our company. And it really is, just bringing more people in and more people in to our family, to expand our family. And it's just a great, great experience. The studio side of our company has 900 students in the 2 locations.
Is that right?
We have 900 students. We, offer so many different classes, and several of them teach those classes. And
Right.
And it's amazing how much it's grown over the last 4 years. So.
I think we referenced it earlier on. The Stars Charter School has become a almost like the AAA. If Encore Center are the major leagues, the Stars is like AAA before the players come to the forefront. So Cana's introduced a lot of people.
I
to.
love our relationship that we have with Stars. It's great that we can collaborate and pull from each other to get things done.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I've met a lot of people on the show who I've known from the community and some who I have not known, adults, but also there are a lot of children that the Encore Center is stretching their nets out to.
Yes.
And they're always a blast to work with because they're in the formative years. They're very impressionable, and you are in a position to have a direct impact on how they see the world.
Yes. We just finished having 27 kids on stage for Dear Edwina Jr.
Right.
And we had a whole weekend of sold out shows, and everyone loved it. The kids had a great time. I got comments from the parents after that, this was totally worth the price of tuition for their camp because it wasn't just about learning lines or music. It was forming these friendships and relationships that will last them a lifetime and making memories that they will just remember this show and what they did during those 3 weeks of rehearsals, for the rest of their life because it was just such an impactful experience for them.
They're all at school coordinating their summer plans. They're trying to join which summer camp are you going to be in at Encore? I don't know, which summer camp are you going to be in? Are you going to do this one or that one? Oh, we got to do Les Mis. Like they're so
Great.
on it, trying to figure out which one to do.
That's great because, we just announced during the shows that what our summer camps are going to be, our summer theater camps. And we're doing Les Mis for the teens, and we're doing Shrek the Musical Junior for our smaller kids. So
What age group would be sure?
So
for
Les
Shrek?
Mis is 13 to 18, and then Shrek is 8 to 18.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. There are so many kids. Cana, we were talking briefly about Gabby Brunson. Some of these kids who are very talented, they may never pursue the arts as a vocation, but they may. But even if they didn't, they will probably, as adults, have an
I
appreciation.
just told my class that this morning that I don't care if all my second grade students who were in a show in March go on to be professionals, but I really hope that they will hope for the preservation of the arts, particularly the live performing arts. That is
Yeah.
very important to us.
Charlynn, with your daughters, that's probably the same thing. They're exposed to it through their mom, and whatever they get, they'll take with them, whether it's professionally or just as a patron of the arts.
Absolutely. I mean, they'll develop skills
Yeah,
of being on stage. They'll develop confidence.
right.
And then they'll also learn how to work with many different people. It's all around a great thing for kids to be exposed to.
Many life skills are offered and introduced in the theater. And also one of the things that we do through Encore is we do have a college scholarship program. And we hope that our students will follow through and do some things in the arts, even if it's just to, come back and take a class or do something like that. Right now, we've just hired Sydney Spalding, who was one of our dance teachers while she was in high school. And she went to college and she got her degree in December, and she has come to help us. She just directed Dear Bina Jr. for us.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's really neat to watch how people that, have been in our programs then come back and do other things with us. So that's fun.
What do you tell parents who may be watching this show if they have children that they are sitting on the sideline who they think may want to avail themselves of what Encore Center has to offer? How do they start that process?
Certainly coming and taking some classes to start are great. Signing up for a camp, getting involved in a camp. It's amazing the parents that'll tell me, my child is really shy. I'm not sure they're going to like this. And we put them up there and give them a little direction, and they just shine. And the parents will say, I'm so glad they found their people. It's like, you really know that that's doing something.
If a parent says, my child is shy, don't you want to shake them and say, well, why don't you allow your child to maybe not be shy and see what happens?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
You have an event coming up March the 25th. It's a season reveal and silent auction. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we are so excited. I cannot believe we will be introducing for our 2023-2024 theater season. That will be our 5th theater season. It just seems impossible that we're on our 5th season.
Right.
But we'll have a lineup of shows ready to go to announce what the following year will be. We'll have some actors that'll give little vignettes of each of the shows. There'll be some food and beverages and those kind of things. There'll be a silent auction that we're currently seeking support with that. But it's really our big fundraiser to get excited for the new season that starts.
In the new season, will you have any curmudgeon roles for Steve going forward? Anything that you have planned?
I'm pretty sure there'll be something in there for Steve.
Okay.
Great.
Steve, you don't want to get typecast, right?
Yes, it's too late.
I don't think Steve is typecast in this part. He's got the confidence of the character, but he is much nicer than his character.
You also have a, let me see what I had here. You have dance, you have music instruction,
Yes.
a kinder music.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
So kinder music starts birth. Our classes start at birth, and I'm not. Do you know what age they go up to? I don't.
I'm not sure. It's not one of the ones that I teach.
But they, the babies come and they learn things with music and grabbing instruments and those kind
They
of
have
things.
a little story they follow along with
Yeah.
sometimes, and the songs match. It's very adorable. If my child were not constantly with me, I would bring him to kinder music. I would love to do that.
How old is your child?
10 months old. He is one of the assistant directors.
Oh, okay. And you have a homeschool arts immersion program?
We do. On Wednesdays, the homeschoolers come and they do different art projects, or they do music projects or acting projects. So it adds the arts into their homeschool curriculum.
So in a homeschool situation, it's difficult to have arts enter the house.
Right.
So you are providing a venue
Yes.
for that.
Yeah, and we have teachers that teach each of those classes to the homeschoolers, and they rotate through the different things. Each week they have a different curriculum of what they're learning. And it's a good, we've got a lot of kids that come to that, so it's really, really fun program.
Well, we we want to have you on again this year, maybe right after the reveal.
Yes.
We can talk about some of the events, and the summer programs
Yes.
are very important for the kids.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And we have the theater camps, and then we also have the dance classes that continue. Their music lessons continue. Everything continues through the summer. So it's great to keep things up and keep your schedules, and just continue learning throughout the summer.
Yeah. Are we going to see you guys in other productions this year? Are you hoping to be back in the? Because you're welcome to come back.
Becky?
I hope so.
I'm waiting
Stay
for
tuned.
the
Yeah.
reveal,
Yes,
see
we
what
would
the
love to
shows
see it.
are, and then the way the Encore Center does it is a season audition. So in July, we'll audition for one of the 4 or 5 shows.
And we're hoping to do auditions a little bit earlier this year. So probably the auditions will be either April or May.
Yeah.
Wow.
To try to get things cast a little sooner this year.
Do you know, people don't realize how much time is involved in the production, hours, man hours. And you all have jobs. You all work. I mean, you have to really discipline your schedule.
The scheduled rehearsals are 30 to 40 hours a week.
It's crazy.
And then, you need to put in another, I won't lie, but another hours on top of that before you get to rehearsals. So, yeah, it's pretty busy.
We have supportive families.
Yeah.
Supportive families, yeah.
Well, people who want to get more information about the Encore Center can go to their website at encorecenter.net. They have a box office number of 910-725-0603. You can get additional information about tickets. When did they go on sale for the show?
They're already
They
on
were
sale.
on sale.
Mhm.
Opening night is Friday, February the 10th at 6:30, and the show will play Friday and Saturdays at 6:30, as well as matinees on Saturdays and Sundays at 2 through the 19th of February. And then we pivot. We get ready for the reveal, and we see what 2023 has in store for the people who live in our area. The Encore Center has become a great gift to Moore County, a great gift to students, and I admire you and applaud you all for what you're doing. It was a pleasure to have you all on.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Thank you.
us.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we'll see you soon.
Okay.
This is All Things Moore County. Everybody have a great week.